Okay. So we're live on YouTube. So that's better than nothing, right? God dang. Wait. Let me turn that off. All right. Supposedly we're live on YouTube. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we are. Okay, so we're just gonna have to live with that. Okay, let me just get my phone. We're gonna have to improvise a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll go on Facebook. Hang on, Danielle. Okay. All right. Let's see. Live. Okay. Let's see. Add description. I'm going to do a live real quick and get some people over to YouTube. How's that? Tech issues. We are going live on YouTube only for this first show. For the first show with Danielle Marie, goddess that she is. Done. Start live. All right, so now what do I need to do? All right, go back here to Zoom. Thank you for your patience, everybody. I'm doing a live on Facebook on my phone at the moment. We are live on YouTube. Hello, everybody from YouTube. We're having a problem with the multi-streaming company that we use and Facebook. Facebook wouldn't let us go on. Yeah, Facebook's not working, for those of you who are asking. So we're only going to be live on YouTube. Hello, how's it going? So we were just getting ready for the first show this morning with Danielle Marie, and it looks like that we're not going to be able to multi-stream this first show. So anybody that wants to watch this first episode of Soul Speaks 5D today, go over to YouTube, Soulology One Studios channel on YouTube. That's all. The letters are run together. There's no spaces. Soulology One Studios channel. If you haven't subscribed to us, we'd appreciate it if you would. Anyway, so we're going to have Danielle Marie. She's going to be with us. We're on YouTube right now. Yeah, that was very cool. Thank you, Delia, for posting the YouTube link on, and I should put that up on this live as well. Copy. So we're on YouTube, Soulology One Studios channel. I'm just going to put this on my page. Thank you, Delia, for reminding me. We're going to be sitting down talking with Danielle Marie, who's very, very powerful, powerful divine feminine. Let's see, there's the thing. I'm going to put the link in the comments of this live. If you'd like to come over and join us for what should be a very worthwhile conversation, come over to YouTube. There's the link in the comments of this live. I just put it up. You see it? So we'll see you shortly. If you want to come over to Soulology One Studios channel on YouTube, the first show of the day, we're not being allowed to multi-stream. We're not being allowed to broadcast on the Facebook. And so we're going to just do it on YouTube for the first show. Hopefully it'll be corrected by the second and third show today. Anyway, Danielle Marie's going to be on. We're going to be starting in about 2 minutes. I'm going to play a longer intro to allow people time to come in. And so we'll be getting started in 3 minutes and 33 seconds. How's that? All right. Let me just play this intro and we'll see you in 3 minutes and 33 seconds. See you over at
resurrection is not limited to icons, but unlimited to the life of our souls. We have all walked the dark nights when we thought we were in the right, and we have all walked in the light when we thought there was none. Oneness is underestimated because it covers far more than peace, love, happiness, and the trappings of dogmas. Oneness is to understand that all of the dark nights hold the same face and that everyone's pain is equivalent when weighed against their singular life experience. Oneness is releasing every possession which really had been possessing us all along. The old family gripes so easy to blame on another, the religions and icons forced on ancestors at the price of land and freedoms forsaken. The government conspiracies and royalty belied of the dark demagoguery of foolish human pride. The chains and the stains, the shames and the blames, that even if we're true, serve no purpose but to hide us from ourselves and each other. Divinity is always becoming, always on time, leading to the first and last, the end that begins. I am soul.
All right, let's get this started. Let me kill this sound. Boom. There we go. All right, let's get Danielle up here. Sorry about the, oh, there she is. Oh my God, you look fantastic. What have you been doing?
Thank you.
Huh?
Sitting in the sun, living.
I'll download this episode and then upload it to Facebook.
Thank you.
We're not able to go onto the platforms this morning, so you look fantastic though. So what have you been doing? What's your secret? Everybody else is losing their shift.
Oh my. No, I actually just feel like this whole shift was exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
So that everything I've been trying to manifest actually had time to catch up with me. Got rid of a lot of distractions and started focusing on what I really came, or was creating.
Yeah. Delia says, oh my God, her energy. That's what I'm saying. Like, we've only sat down one time, and I know you've worked with Morgan.
Yes.
She tells me, just in the normal course of things. It's amazing to hear the stories of so many different people that she's connected with that are like transforming their lives through this
Did she tell you?
Through this boot camp that I had to go through. Yeah.
Seriously. It was so funny. I think one of the first, it was like the first week everything started happening with the shutdown. You guys did a video and she talked for like 2 seconds and I was like, okay, I need to follow her and see what's going on. And then I saw another video and it wasn't even 5 minutes into the video. I didn't even know if she offered sessions anymore. And I messaged her for one. So it was just like that soul,
yeah, this was a while back too, wasn't it? I mean, you and there was another lady out of Australia who's a lot like you. The energy is the same. I don't know if you know her, Melina Ferguson.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Melina Ferguson. Like, she'd been doing it about 6 months, and Morgan didn't even know it. And so it's pretty cool how these templates, these stuff that you guys are downloading, are being like embodied into the earth through actually doing and that's what's so crazy. And I know from talking to you before, like, just like what you pull down, what you've experienced in your life and all that, right? All that stuff out there. And then it all comes back to the tedious, the nitty gritty, the human. You can't escape the human.
For sure. It's funny, when you were having the tech difficulties, I was seeing the new network coming in on the masculine side.
I don't doubt that a bit. I don't doubt that a bit. I mean, you know, it's so crazy too, because you want to talk about, okay, real-time intel. That's what we try to strive for here. And it's like you talk about, you know, you experience one thing, like what's today? Wednesday, I
Hmm.
think. So like, I know like all this stuff was going on in June. I mean, June was crazy. And then the July starts and you got the full moon and you got the end of the eclipse era and all that stuff happening, 9 planets aligning. And then it's like, I remember Sunday having this major experience by myself in the backyard. And then I like want to talk about it. And then Monday comes and it's like something new comes in. And then Tuesday, something new comes in. But the last 2 days, like, I don't know. It was like just, I could feel this energy coming in. And I saw Amanda Lawrence, my friend, uh, you know, writing something about, hey, these energies just came in 2 days in a row. Broder Bilal, my brother, same thing, you know, a few other people. So like there was some type of, this is what I was thinking. What did you just say a minute ago? There was some kind of, oh, for the masculine, like some kind of program shift or something.
I could see it was like
Mhm.
streams of energy. Sometimes it
Mhm.
looks like a network, like a new energy
Yeah.
network thing. I just see it in streams of energy, but
That's
it
what
was coming in on the masculine strong.
is that, yeah. Well, what I saw was like in June, I saw sometime in June toward the latter or mid June, third week of June, like the divine feminine energy went fully into completion, like complete availability of the full complete template that will be expanded by, you know, us integrating our experience. And then immediately the masculine came in because as a result of that the opposite energy doing it. But like yesterday, like what you just said a minute ago, kind of brought me back to yesterday. And I was walking around yesterday, and I was thinking, because I had that drone going on, that woozy, cloudy feeling, you know, like I couldn't focus on anything, like I couldn't do anything 3D. I mean, I did do messages all day and scheduling, but you know, I had to do like one at a time. I couldn't get diverted, you know. And what I got was like, what just happened? Like, did we just have like did time just shift or something? That's what I
Yes,
felt.
I felt that in the middle of the night. I think it was Monday night, I want to say, or maybe Sunday night into Monday. Gosh, you're right. What day is it? It was Sunday
Mm-hmm.
night into Monday. I could feel the energy shifting, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and there was just like that void energy. And I was like, it was so clear. It was like, okay, we're going for a ride. Like it's like going on a whole shift.
Yeah.
And then like the next day, I could feel it. Like the energy was like we moved into a whole nother timeline.
Yeah. Right on. And so, like, a big part of that, I think, too, you mentioned it, is how did you put it? Like releasing the things that no longer align with you. Maybe that's the right way to say it.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of that going on. And that can be everything from, you know, let's say like addictions, like eating, you know, drinking, smoking, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever. And then it can be emotional attachments. Uh, wow. I mean, and I've watched so many people do it, and it's like this.
Yeah.
It's not like they go off the rails
Mhm.
like we used to, you know, where you go into these deep dives, you just go off the rails and then back up and then off the rails and then back up, you know, something like that.
I've been seeing that with clients and friends. There's definitely like they're like, what am I doing wrong? Like going so far deep
Mm,
into the shadows or
yeah.
things that they thought that they were done with. But there's that other side of the other extreme where we're experiencing more love and more peace and joy than we ever have. And so it's like we're moving into those deeper depths of the darkness. To me, I see it like we're untangling it
Mm,
like right at the roots. So it's personal, but it's also like collective. So I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of people are even processing collective. So
yeah.
majority of what they're experiencing, they're
Yeah.
thinking it's theirs,
Yeah.
but like 90 to 95% of it is just collective.
Yeah. I agree with that. Certainly in my own right. And I don't usually do that. I mean, I don't usually say, hey, I'm doing this for the collective. Over the years, I've started to understand when it was happening. But recently, I would go back to May, June, and this much of July I've felt that a lot. Like I've been watching it, and then some of it has been coming through me, but because I've like had the prior knowledge or something, or because I could see it, I didn't take it personally, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And the other thing I noticed too that shifted or that's shifting is, you know, and you would know this because of the way you are, like you get an energetic, like you in the energetic field, something occurs. Like whether it be from your own right or the collective, something occurs like bam. So like if it's in your own right, you get the intel, boom, it happened, you see what happened, then you go try to make it happen and it doesn't happen. Like what I'm trying to say is it happens up there, then it's going to manifest down here. It used to take a really long time, and now it's not taking very long, but it doesn't operate based on the old math or the old habits or the old patterns of I've got to go, like I get a download, Danielle and I are going to collaborate. You know, so the old way would be just immediately pick it. We got to collaborate. I just got this, but it just happens. It just flows. It just falls into place. And it's kind of weird because you're not sitting back doing nothing. You're doing something in the energetic field, and then it occurs, and you just have to allow it to happen as opposed to trying to force anything.
Yeah, which by the way, you came to me like a few times before Morgan reached out to set this up.
Is that right? I
Yeah.
did? What happened?
No, I remember
Yeah.
one night I was like in that dream state and I knew we were talking and that
Yeah.
I was gonna come back on.
Wow.
And that was like maybe a couple months, like a month or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, and yeah, I brought up that, I hope this is okay. Yeah, I guess this is okay. Talk about it. I brought up Melina Ferguson, who you remind me a lot of. You guys are like the cut from this, like Morgan. Okay. Like the first time I interviewed you, I said, oh my God, because I don't think she was able to watch it all. She goes, what was that like with Danielle? I was like, it's like talking to you. And there's a few of them I've come across that are like that. Anyway, so Melina, so it was about 10 days ago, we went to sleep, put our hands together. And then, you know how you get that feeling, your whole body just knows, like I knew I had to do something. So I got on my knees, she's laying down. I looked at her and I said, I need to tell you this. I totally surrender to you. Right. And I'm of course talking about her as a physical representation of the mother goddess and everything in between, you know, Mother Mary, Magdalene, everything. And in that moment, she reached up and kind of embraced me. And then all this dimensional stuff started happening, which isn't, not that it hasn't happened before, but there was like all her goddess energy in different forms. There was 3 or 4 of them at the same time. I'm looking at, right? So the next day she said, oh, Melina reached out to me and she said, I don't know what happened, but last night I was watching all these goddesses around Todd and he was doing this dance, like some type of ritual, you know, and so how do you explain this stuff, right? Like this is really happening. Like the connection between what we call dream state and conscious awake state is, you know, solidifying. We're carrying those memories with us, you know?
Right. That's the thing is it just feels like real to me. Like I speak of it like it's real, right?
Yeah.
Like those experiences to me feel just as real as this conversation that we're having, you know, so I treat them that way.
I think that's something we're going to have to get used to. That's weird too that you said that, because yesterday when those, I think there was like 3 waves yesterday, and I was doing these shows and I told a friend of mine last night, I said, because I was supposed to get back with her and I didn't get back with her. And so I said, look, you know, I may look like that I've got my act together when I get on and do a show, but I can tell you, I might struggle right up to the second I start it. And then as soon as it's over, I'm down. So that's what happened after the last show last night. I had to go down. Like I was getting that really, you know, sleepy, drowsy thing. I finished the show. I lay down. I guess I went to sleep. I go into lucid dream state, and in the lucid dream, there was all this stuff going on. You know how it is. You can smell things. You can see, I can see color now, like never before. So I was making something in the oven. I was making baked potatoes. This is in the dream, in the lucid dream. And it was supposed to be sweet potatoes. And what had happened was when I went to look at them, I had chopped up cubed sweet potatoes and put them in this baked potato, but Morgan was expecting a sweet potato. So going back to what you're saying about you take it as real, I woke up thinking, oh my God, she's going to be so upset with me because of what I did, you know. And I was actually, and she wasn't here. She had gone to the store, and I was actually walking around looking for it to try to explain to her that I don't know how I made the sweet potatoes inside the bed. You know what I mean? It was just like, but I was actually living it as it happened, which was weird, you know?
That's cool. I do. Yeah, I get it. It's like all those timelines converging, or like we can get so many messages or live so much more in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah. Are you getting clear intel now? I know you've been going through some shifts
Yes,
over the last 2 or 3 months.
big one.
Obviously, you're doing something because you look absolutely radiating. Two people made comments as well.
Thank you.
But are you getting an increase in the clarity and the volume of intelligence that's coming through?
It's actually interesting. It's completely shifting. The way that I was doing things. That's what I've actually been noticing. I've been so in the physical world making my shifts. It's like I was in one life and I'm in the process of moving into a completely different life.
Wow.
And when I look at it, it's almost like I go in and out and like my old like it's getting 3D printed as I go back and forth. I don't know how
Yeah.
else to explain it, but
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of that. So I know I'll speak on it more down the road once
Yeah.
I have more clarity. But um, so before I really, like a big part of the work I did was being a bridge, in the physical world, to help bring in the new energies. And I know those are still coming in, but like the the work I'm being called to do now is actually taking those downloads and like living them, like actually infusing them into the physical world, like that's
Yeah.
and creating that energy across the planet. Like first, obviously, starting with myself. So it's definitely changing. And actually, it's moving a lot faster. Like, where even 3 months ago or a couple months ago when we did this, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta sit, I gotta take time, I gotta tune in and see what, I'm gonna talk about. And I've been moving so quickly. I literally had like 10 minutes this morning to even just like tune
Yeah.
in with the energy. But the messages are just like, you're fine, like, just keep going.
Yeah.
And then whatever needs to come in comes in. So it's definitely speeding up. I can tell that my work is shifting,
Yeah.
and I'm also very clear that once my shift is done, that it's going to be even something else new
Yeah.
that, like
Yeah.
it's kind of in the process of generating it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Where do you live, by the way? Are you in Minnesota?
No, Syracuse, New York.
Oh, you're upstate New York. Okay.
Yep.
Just curious because I'm contemplating traveling. I want to pinpoint where everybody's at. But no, you're right. Uh, so you're like a classic example. Like, so I'm going to put this together. So like you went in and well, I think we could probably say everybody is on their stuff more and more every day. And many people like yourself have been on it a long, long time. Something's kind of happened. I think June 1st was a big marker. Like something really changed. I mean, I remember waking up the first part of June and going, wow, we're in a different place now. Like everything is working differently. Something's changed. But you, like you said in your explanation, you're the way that you move this stuff along is through this human part of us. Like you have to embody it. You take that stuff and you apply it and oh, that's what I'm trying to say, I guess. It's like now it's time to walk the talk. Like no matter what, there is no in between. It's time to walk the talk.
Yes.
And that's how you do it. And it seems so weird because everything else is so fantastic, dimensional, interdimensional, visitations, apparitions, downloads, channelings, and yet it comes back to the human. Like
Mhm.
like this is the key for the lock. Yeah.
Right.
And it's weird too because and I think you probably experienced this based on how you look and what little I heard, which is all private and personal, and I'm not trying to bring that stuff up at all. I get what you're saying because Morgan's the same way. She will not put something out until she totally sits with it and understands it. But like what I'm talking about is what's materializing in your life, what's manifesting in your life. As you do this stuff in in a cohesive manner with what you pull in, all of a sudden things are starting to be created in front of you and around you and for you and with you and by you that are freaking extraordinary. Like they don't even make sense. Like what? You know?
Yeah. They don't make so much sense. They make sense. I guess that's
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
I know.
Right. And then the
Yeah.
other thing too is when, and I've heard so many people talk about this, they talk about these personal transformational periods they go through. And I know from what I can see in the field, because I can't see like you do, or say Morgan does, I do it. Mine's different. Everybody's got different clairs, but I'm
Mhm.
able to see the field in regard to my work and how that all works in our daily experience. And that is when the individual makes these personal transformations, they're actually the entire the entire populace, or the entire group of souls, and then some, feel it and get it. It's just like a download. It's become available. So when you knock down an energetic door, like you're basically just saying, now others are going to be able to go through it. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can't
I've been
underestimate.
feeling
Yeah.
that. It feels like that's part of my job right now, is to strengthen that. Um, Definitely.
Yeah. So has your just from a standpoint of measuring energy, has your practice picked up? I mean, are you seeing anything different in regard to that?
Well,
Like,
let's say I have not done, like, it got real quiet when the quarantine happened, but that was because it was a distraction at the time.
mhm.
Like, I was so busy and
Oh,
enjoying the business.
yeah,
They shut me down on
yeah,
that. But now I've been so focused on the new stuff, I haven't even thought about it. And it's been picking up without me doing a thing.
yeah,
So people are finding me, and
yeah,
it's just the energy, right? So,
yeah. I think the quarantines, and a lot of people describe it that way too, that are practitioners. They talked about how it just kind of went to sleep, like their business just like went, and then all of a sudden it got raised to 2 or 3 octaves, and all of a sudden this whole different type of
yes.
energies coming at them that's positive and different and expansive. But I think that that's one of the benefits, because I've seen it happen at Sology. Like, at first I was like, why are we getting these spikes? Because we've always been just very steady, nothing too, grandiose in terms of like expansions and contractions. But I noticed that it started spiking, and I thought, okay, well, that makes sense because everybody's online more.
Mhm.
But somehow or another, there's been some type of major exponential expansion on top of the expansion that's occurred. It's like the 3-6-9 math instead of the 1+1 = 2 math.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
Yeah.
and because I've talked to quite a few people, and they're getting a lot. Well, they're being bathed in abundance, basically,
Yeah.
which is far more than money, as you
Right.
know.
Absolutely. I
Right.
agree.
Wow. So yeah. So what else is happening? You got any plans? Anything you're up to? Anything going on? Are you feeling anything? What's happening in the collective? Or you said
Um,
thing about the masculine?
oh yeah. To me, when I look at the masculine just all around me, um, I've been noticing this. I actually just really was noticing it today. Like being more open,
Yeah.
speaking more, and like just wanting to be heard and seen in a new way.
Yeah.
Um, just, as a human to human thing, instead of having it be this only masculine, feminine roles, like
Yeah.
just being a human being. I felt that a lot. I was thinking on that today.
From the
Um,
masculine perspective? Hmm.
just seeing it, just kind of observing it and feeling that energy. Um, One of the things that has been prominent for me is, when I see in the collective, there's so much focus on the abuse of the feminine, which I get, but my experience in so many things I've seen is that, the masculine was just as abused, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
it's so important to acknowledge that for that healing to take place. So I've actually felt like that's, an important part of my work is holding space for the divine masculine.
Wow. That's interesting. Because like, okay, so 2 mornings ago, like, Morgan and I are together. Obviously, we work together, we live together. So there was, like a sequence of events, just normal events. And what you're talking about was like coming to the surface from my perspective. So as I was going into it for weeks, I kept being told, you're about to go through, everyone's about to go through this shift. And I think this is what I was referring to when the feminine like fully went complete and that became fully available. And then the other came, and I kept being told, you just need to hold space. You need to hold space. And then I would go through these episodes where I would do a pretty good job of it. And then I might project something. And they're like, no, this is what we're talking about. Just let it flow. Let her as in the feminine energy flow, not necessarily Morgan, but just that.
Yes.
And it showed me how it flows, right? And how the emotions of that energy that we all have is key. Like you have to let it flow. And like I got shown like how we stopped it in the patriarchal, like, oh, she's crazy, or oh, you know what I mean? That's men do that, or, whatever it was to stop it and judge it, let it flow, because as it flows naturally, then it explodes. That's rebirth. That's renewal. That's creation. Right. So like 2 days ago, as I'm going through this whole thing, we kind of concluded the sequence of events. I got up and I went downstairs and I said, and I think it was from what you're saying, that they want to be heard, and they being the masculine part of us, right? I came down, I said, from a higher perspective, I got this, I've had it, but my human needs to say something. And that was like one of the first times I've ever done that. But I've heard that and I've seen that from her and women who say, I've got to say something. Men didn't always understand that, but I said it, and she kind of looked at me like, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay now. Like, I've never experienced where you say something and then you're okay because you were allowed to say it. Where I noticed that about women with a higher awareness as time's gone on, that if you just allow that, then everything's cool, and that flow continues.
1,000%. Like, that's one thing that I realized was so important through my healing is I knew I could process things, but there was something about being able to speak it out loud and just have another human being love me through that or hold space.
Yeah.
That was so incredibly healing, because it was just that unconditional space of like non-judgment, neutrality, love, whatever that is. That was so incredibly powerful. Like every other thing that I tried to do my healing work, that was the most transformative. To be able to sit there, and whether it was guilt or shame or fear or just something I knew wasn't my full truth, but I was feeling it inside, to be able to just call it out and say, look, I know this is not my whole truth, but it's what I'm feeling right now. And I want to move it out of my body and out of my emotions. And having someone who could allow me to do that was literally priceless. That's like what you're saying, like that feeling of like so much more is priceless. And so that is what I do in my sessions, but it's also what I do in my relationships. And especially like you're saying with the divine masculine, because for so long, even more intensely, we're told that that's the wrong thing, right? Like not to express those emotions. And
well, if the feminine energy was being blocked, the masculine was. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's the thing that's so important for people to recognize, right? Like, and I think a lot more of us are, but just in that general collective, there's still the push-pull.
Well, it's nice to be able to go through these things, and I can see a difference where in the past, say past relationships and even early parts of understanding or evolving with Morgan, how you get into a discussion or whatever the case is. And women always had this thing, right? This trait. And that was, they got to say what they got to say. Now you can ask them, the scenarios of, hey, are you okay? I'm fine. And he knows she's not. And then at some point, the opportunity presents itself and she blasted out. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But the thing that always confounded me was once she blasted out, and I'm talking about the feminine energy in general, not anyone in particular, she was fine. Like the man would be, I'd make jokes about it. The man would be laying on the floor with his heart, out of his chest and like devastated. She was fine. But that's what I'm talking about. It was because he didn't understand not to stop that flow, not to judge that flow. and the importance of it. And so the same thing applies now to me, right? As a, you know what I mean? So that's, I think what you were, to me, that's what you were referring to earlier when you said that, is that new divine masculine energy.
Mhm.
Another thing I noticed was, and this would have been in June, I noticed, it's kind of died down now, but in June, I noticed a lot of sisters out there, because there's a lot more of them, right? You know, there's a lot more of them out there in the community because y'all have led the way, no doubt. But I noticed and I started using the term patriarchal instead of masculine. I noticed the patriarchal imprint in them as we were going through this transition, and they were displaying wounded masculine projection. And I was like, whoa, that's trippy, you know, that's trippy. I'm watching this, like, how's that working? Did you feel anything in your own, in this period? Like, did you feel like you had to like come to Jesus with the masculine, or did the masculine your masculine popped in
Oh
and,
yeah,
like, did to be cleared and released?
big time, because that's like my protective side, right? That's the side of me that just like survives and monsters on, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I definitely had to look at the protective parts of myself, like that almost want to be like, are you sure you're ready for this? Are you sure you're going to do it? I definitely had to face that. During my teenage years and 20s, like when I was having a hard time, I totally was in my wounded masculine energy.
Yeah.
Like that's how I got through it, you
Yeah.
know? And then as I went through my healing, it was like I started working with my feminine energy again. But yes, I definitely, this past year or so, and really bringing it back to focusing
Yeah.
on my masculine within
Yeah.
me, and then just how that's rippling out in my life.
Yeah, I wondered because I noticed that, and then I didn't. And the thing was, I noticed it in women that had kind of a louder masculine. You know, they had the feminine, but they had a little a louder masculine. I'm talking about people that I've observed and that I've worked with and collaborated with, and online. I've seen their posts and such. But then I started to get another perspective of it, because when that goddess thing happened with Morgan, something was going on. Like, I was getting to that point where I understood what I just explained, at least for my own field of
Mhm.
energy. But then I'm like laying, because we lay down every night. We put our hands together every night. And it's not traditional or typical of where we've come from, all of us. You
Mhm.
know, there's no codependency. Hey, how you doing? Or are you mad at me? Or how you feel? And all that stuff, right? We lay down. Sometimes we don't say anything. But I was laying there, and I was like seeing us, like I have many times, like merging, feeling us merge. And then I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, there's nobody else here. Right. So it's like this, like Morgan's the feminine inside of me, and you know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah.
the whole thing was taking place inside of me. I'm like, wow, what is this? You know? So that was kind of trippy, but I felt like that was telling me that, I'm not saying I'm complete, but I'm saying, like, you get it. Like, Todd, you're now dealing with your own feminine,
Yeah.
inside of you, and you actually having a relationship. I'm looking at the whole divine union within ourselves totally different after this past week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. It's like within yourself and then in your relationship. And
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
When we were talking about that thing with holding space, I just wanted to share something
Mm.
because it feels important for people to hear this, that there's also something about when we speak through our voice, it's the frequency and it's the
Mm.
process of sharing it out loud that lets us process and just feels very like releasing. And it's like
Yeah.
at the same time that we're letting it out, it's like the new can come in because there's an actual frequency,
Yeah.
energetic flow through the voice. That's also almost like a cat when they purr, how it heals their body. Like
Yeah.
our voice and our frequency can help lift that out of
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. You just opened up a whole bunch of stuff there. Yeah. I mean, so the voice is a really big deal. I mean, I was given several times. I'm going back to like 20, like I came out the street 2013 September, I think, and So by mid 2014, I was getting involved in groups and, putting my stuff out. And from that time, I remember several occasions where they would come in, whatever that is, and they would put like a crystal in my throat. And I knew as the individual goes, so goes the collective, right? Like I knew it meant something for me, like to expand Sology's broadcasts, expressions, whatever, and to make them more authentic and raw and real, no rehearse, anything like that. But they would come in and do that over and over. And then this period that I'm talking about of the last few weeks, that came back in. And it was like not Todd specific, not that it ever was, and it was not gender specific. And then I went back to what the energy of Sology came to me and Morgan right before we got married in 2018 and presented itself as this big golden tree and started talking to us. I'm my own energy now, da 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 da. And what it said was Sology Network is a network for the voices of the Mother Goddess, and immediately explained to us that means it doesn't have anything to do with your physical gender, but that part of the voice is what's been suppressed, which if you think about what you were saying at the top of the show, she wanted to be heard. And now this other aspect of this masculine, which is really the Mother Goddess part of the voice that's been suppressed throughout the patriarchal, is wanting to be heard. And I think that's why you're starting to see more men stepping up. And I've gotten in the last week, probably 5 or 6 different gentlemen have approached me about, coming out with, like say a men's group or that type of thing,
Awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's alive. It's alive and kicking.
I agree.
Right on. Let's see. I'm just following the comments here. How do I balance my wounded mass? This is for you.
Okay.
If you want it. Let's see. Because I'm not the practitioner. Let's see. Okay, Danielle. It is for Danielle. She says, Danielle. Thank you, Anna. How do I balance my wounded masculine? How do I balance my wounded masculine and balance out my feminine? I have great difficulty and feel very frustrated with the feminine. It's very different from my own energy. How do I balance them?
Okay, so let me see if I got this. So one, I think choose one to work with, just because if you start healing that, then it can support the other. Like for me, like I said, like my wounded masculine was there, and I had to really start developing and like bringing back in parts of my feminine. And as I learned to love myself, I guess either way, let's bring it down to self-love, actually. I'm looking at it energetically. That's why I'm shifting as I'm talking. But if you're focusing on self-love in general, you can work on both at the same time, looking at those different attributes. But really, any general self-love, anytime you're focusing on yourself, nurturing yourself, that's what I guess I see most in our world, is that we're all wanting to feel loved and nurtured. So your feminine and your masculine are both craving some love and support. So those are, I guess, maybe sometimes seen as generally feminine, like motherly type of qualities. So yeah, I'm thinking starting with the self-love, depending on her specific situation. I guess I would need to know more details, how she's feeling with her feminine energy, and if she feels that she has enough love in that feminine that she could start to support that wounded masculine parts of herself. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, too, and reflecting on that, because, hanging around Morgan for 5 years, I pick up a lot of stuff, obviously, and I guess at some point, it's getting kind of weird. Like I said, where it's like we're one and the same. But so she talks about, and again, we're talking not necessarily about people or couples, but she would always say, as we would navigate this thing in our work, that that the masculine side, that part that you were talking about, that you're seeing starting to come out, wanting to be heard, is not going to step up until the feminine side steps into their full power. That always
That's how
stuck
I
with me.
felt.
Yeah. that always stuck with me, whether it's a couple or whether it's an individual, which was kind of weird when I tried to apply it to myself, but it was a lot like what you just explained. Like I knew
Okay.
there was a part of me that had this innateness, the womb carrier, the feminine, that would hold space. That was the abyss. That was the void. That was the great mystery. The other side of it, instead of laying expectations down on the feminine side of me, and instead of dominating it, because that's my comfort zone. If I can go back into the old mode, then I'm in control and I'm okay. But to allow that to go, and I think maybe I hit that point in that what I described to you earlier when I kneeled before and said I surrender in totality to you, and then the other thing I would say to Anna is another thing I learned from Morgan. Okay, is if you're feeling frustrated or confused, you're good. Like that's the prerequisite to the deep dive, and then of course the expansion.
Yeah, thank you. That was an awesome explanation because that's been my experience that I had to strengthen and develop that divine feminine before I could fully hold space for my own self.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, you helped
Yeah.
kind of solidify that one for me just now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, I come to these shows every day and I'm basically a client sitting across a practitioner. I mean, and then the practitioner is like a field of energy. It's not even the person necessarily, only the person, but this is what I love about this, whether it's this show or just me and you talking privately or whatever the case is, we ignite each other, we open stuff up in each other. And I can see the same thing. I think this is a big subject right now with the masculine, like the feminine energy has been so out there, at least in the light worker circles. It's been so out there. It took a while. I think it took like 3, 4, 5 years for everyone in that collective field to really understand what this is. What is this mother goddess energy? What is the creation seed, and what is the womb, and how do we get there? And how do we integrate this in our physical reality? One of the things that helped me, and it was a big struggle, was of course intimacy, right? So we were both celibate. And so now I'm speaking on terms of a literal explanation or a physical representation of an energetic explanation, right? And so this is part of what we do, right? We merge, we integrate. We're gods in the flesh. So I had, of course, all the old patterns, like you would imagine, like all the women and all the men, all we knew was the old patterns of intimacy, what we called intimacy. So as I worked on it, and I've talked about it many, many times, and I lost my balls and I lost my libido and I lost my erection, and everything was stripped away from me to take me back to this place of like a little baby. Oh, this other power came in, and this other power was like working in unison with my physical representation, my feminine, but also that third energy. And what I found was that the old loops of, I don't know, I guess lust of the male dominance of the old patterns, it all just went away. Like, and it went away gradually, to where it's cleared now, and I don't know how else to put that. But it's strange. And the reason I bring this up is because there's got to be, and again, as the individual goes, so goes the collective, there's got to be a correlation to what's happening in the overall energetic field between what we call masculine and feminine. Like maybe that's what happened June 1st. It's like the playing field is even. Now, does that mean that everybody on the earth is aligned with it? No, because as you know and I know, it takes a while for the physical experience to align with, what's happening energetically.
Right. But it seems like it's happening really quickly. I can relate to your timeline, end of May, beginning of June. And even now, just what is that, 6, 8 weeks has gone by, and it's like a huge like whoosh, and now it's like calibrating,
Yeah.
to
Yes. Yes.
that's what I'm seeing. It's like it's calibrating and integrating, and it's happening really, really fast, from my experience.
Yeah.
But it's like what I was seeing is like we've been creating it all along. It's like we've talked about taking down the old and building the new simultaneously. And so I think in a way that's what happened for me is I was, building, sending energy, creating, but it didn't have anywhere to go because the old
Yeah.
was still there.
Yeah.
And the minute the old moved out of the way, or I was like, okay, I'm good. I got what I needed out of those lessons. Not just a sprout came up, but like a whole forest.
Yeah.
Because those seeds had been planted. And it was kind of like, whoa, this is happening so fast. But I see now in retrospect, it's what I've been working on all
Yeah.
along. So it really wasn't that fast. It was appropriate amount of time,
Yeah.
divine timing. It just manifested in the physical,
Yeah.
not in a normal type of way, I guess.
Well, not in the old way.
No,
And
right, exactly.
maybe
Definitely not in
that's
the old way.
yeah, maybe that's what I'm still trying to put my finger on how to describe what happened June 1st, because I, for some reason, that date sticks out. I know Franco talked about June would be the line of the demarcation, that would happen. And not even relying on that, just feeling what I'm feeling and what I experienced. But that word calibration really stands out, like that you said. And it's like there's no, okay, so like from June 1st, there was, to me, there was like no pushback. Like there used to be, I've got my heart in this, I'm doing this, and we all went through this for the last few years because we all got to that point. Get me the hell out of here. I'm done. I busted my ass. Why isn't things working? Why don't I have any money? Why don't I have a place to live? And all that stuff, right? Relationships. But it's like after June 1st, there's no pushback. It's like, and I look at the ladies like you primarily, like Morgan, you and many others that have been working for 10, 15, 20 years, doing this work. Like you said, you were doing it all along. And now everything's being reciprocated, not only for the moment, but for all that stuff that was almost like in a suspended animation, like you were building up goodwill, like a bank account. That's why I think not just with you, but with others I've noticed too, there's stuff, it's not a sprout. It's a whole forest just explodes before me. And Morgan's a good example with what
Yeah.
happened with her. She goes on a radio show, then she puts out a post, which was not soliciting anything really. It just, and then you got 500 people knocking on her door. But this is
Oh.
happening everywhere. And a lot of it's happening with women, because again, they were the vast majority of who was leading the way. And now they're stepping up because they found their voice, which is cool.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Yeah. Have you had any, what's your day like? I mean, do you like chime in every day, or does it just come in as you're going through your day?
I used to like have more time to sit and just be and have things come in. Now it just comes in when it's needed. Sometimes I'm very aware that multiple things are coming in, and I'm like, okay, I'll catch up with you in a little bit. Because I've been doing so much just in the physical day to day. But I'll get glimpses, and then when I get the downloads, sometimes it just comes right in because it just needs to. So it's I guess where I focus my attention.
Yeah.
But I found that I don't have to sit as much. It can just come as needed.
Yeah. I think that's part of what's changed too. It's like I used to be a hell of a multitasker, like a monster. Like I could do 15 different projects at one time. I mean, I was in my old life in the corporate world, I could phone call, push a button, I mean, I'm everywhere. And now I'm in that respect one dimensional. Like I'm going to do a show with you. I'm going to write, I can't do a bunch of things at one time. But what's different is it's like reverse. Like it used to be Intel came in one at a time. And now there's these multiple streams happening.
Yep.
I can plug into any of them that I want to.
Yep.
I know they're there. And then also, so that's shifted, like reversed. And then the other thing that's come in is like, you don't have to contain all this right now. You don't have to know it all. Just know it's there. Right.
It's like Google.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like spiritual Google. We can just whatever I said that a couple months ago. I'm like, what do we need? And I'll like just
That's
go look.
exactly right.
So
That's
it's
exactly
way
right.
more access. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I had an interest in QHHT recently because we had a couple of people on that do it or have been in sessions. And it always kind of intrigued me because I was like, well, do we need someone to regress us? And then we've had some discussions on that and I see all the different sides. But for myself, I thought about one, I put an announcement out, or I just said it on the show, and it still stands. Anyone that's a QHHT practitioner that would like to demonstrate with me on camera in front of everybody, just so everybody can really understand what it is, I'm up for that. But what I did was I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm in Arkansas. Dolores Cannon lived 60 miles from here, spent her life there. I think I'll just dial in. I'll Google her. So I did. And so she popped in and she said yes. And I said, well, to be honest with you, I'd like to know more. I'd like to understand the QHHT thing more. And I wanted to see if I could connect to you. And I felt like I could. And she's like, you could. And I said, okay, I'll call you back. So I'm going to go back there because, when I have the time and I'm in the right space, but you're right. We can Google anything we want. Although we need to change that name. I don't know
I
what it would
know.
be.
It was
I don't know.
just
I don't know, but it's appropriate. There's no doubt. It's no doubt. Because the internet's the highest physical manifestation of the ethers,
right.
right? It really is.
The etheric
Right on.
version.
Do you have anything coming up? Anything that you want to announce? Anything that you're doing?
At the moment, I'm just focusing on one-on-ones,
Yeah.
with my clients, and I don't know. I'm feeling like maybe in the fall things will be more settled.
Yeah.
But that's mostly what I'm focusing on as far as that
Yeah.
is going.
Yeah. Do you feel like that you're being pushed right now, like to come out more, or
Yeah.
that it's coming, kind of thing?
Yes, I can feel that for sure. Actually, I feel what I'm being pushed to do is get my new foundation in order.
Yeah.
And that's what they're showing me, like find a place to live, get settled, because once you are, we have a lot more for you to do.
You're in that mode, huh? So you're looking for a place to live.
I'm staying in my dad's right now. I'm going to
Wow.
look at houses after this.
Wow. Well, let's send you good energy for that. And it'll happen. Look,
Yeah.
we found a place after 3.5 years. That was just out of nowhere. You know the story too. Morgan knocked on the door and the lady said, hi, my name's Morgan Lee. And Morgan said, my
Really?
name's Morgan Lee. And that was the end of that.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And we had driven by it many times, both of us together and separately, and never even stopped it was like a 10-day period. And that was good in the middle of all that stuff too, when all that stuff was going on in June, because it was intense and it was fast moving. It really
Very
was.
fast.
Yeah. It really
That's
was.
how it feels. Oop, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's like just get into the flow and follow it,
Yeah.
like that feels like that surrender to where it's flowing and just go.
Yeah. That's the way I see it. And I really, really, for myself, I got really good training, I guess, for lack of a better word, and it was being totally, and I didn't realize it, that I was actually being aware of my own, but it was being totally aware of the feminine energy and what that really was, not just saying, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I get that. I was actually going to and going, okay, it's not any of the stuff that I've seen before. The old masculine traditional patterns and behaviors aren't going to be there. So then the old feminine wouldn't be there. So who is this feminine? And of course, I'm looking at Morgan, but I'm looking at the field. And that's where I came to that conclusion that she has to be allowed to flow. Creation is a her. That's the way I digest it. In her, she has to be able to flow. It's not straight lines, but she has to be able to flow. And then once it bursts, then here comes the straight lines in cooperation with the flow and the builder, the creator, the masculine energy comes in. But I really learned a lot from that. And then it got flipped on me, like I said the other night, when it was like, hey, it's not her. She's not even here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? she's here. And I'm like, oh, wow. And then I could actually see us inside of myself, and it was just like, whoa, now that's love. All right. So
Beautiful.
it's exciting times. It really is. It's exciting times. And I think I'm with you too. I have a friend of mine who's doing a conference in South Texas in late September. And I just told Morgan I want to go, because I've collaborated with him before and do some conscious rap and do some speaking and film for him and broadcast it. And she's like, I wonder if it's even going to go down. And now listening to you saying, oh, here's where I'm at, but I feel it coming. Like, to me, that's the timeline. Like, I don't know if it'll be September, but like October, November, December to me seems like when there's going to be another, like an expansion, like coming out of integration, the periods of integration, then you expand and all these things, all those forests start appearing. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because I know the end of the year is not going to look anything like it does now.
Next week won't look like it does now.
Yeah, not tomorrow won't, right?
Right, exactly.
It's like, but one thing I do find that works for me, and I guess it always has, because like when I woke up, it was walking for 2 years. I mean, I went on the streets on purpose, and that was my meditation, or I don't even know if that's the right word, walking and dancing, being alone. But what I notice about what's going on now, and of course I can observe her and her work and her daily life and myself, the energies are like all over the place. Like those multi-streams are going down. You get the body rush of the drowsiness. You get the different things happen. I find that if I just remain in a task-oriented frame of mind, if I don't try to think about anything, if I just, who do I need? I read this message, I answer this message. I read this, really just nuts and bolts, connect the dots, 1, 2, 3. And if I can keep myself wash on and wash off, chop wood, carry water, and just focus on what I'm doing, that everything seems to be not just in my body, but in my field. Like,
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. As of recently, I agree with you. I was always much more multitasking, but now it's like I gotta just focus and get certain things done, and then I can move on to the next thing.
Right on. Right on. Man, you look fantastic. You look great. I mean, your
Thank
color,
you.
everything, you look really good. Can you send us some of that youth serum over here? My hair's not only going white, but I think Morgan keeps saying
Listen, that's it. That's my intention, is that I age to just keep getting better.
That's what I'm hoping. Morgan keeps saying I'm losing my hair. I'm like, I'm not losing my hair, but and I'm starting to wonder. So how can people get in touch with you? Is there anything you can let us know in terms of, like, I know you mentioned it earlier, but do you have a specialty, or is it
So
general energy?
Yeah, the work I do is like intuitive energy. So really working with multiple streams, like what I'm seeing a lot is that people come and it's in one session where I'll see like the cellular, past life, DNA, ancestor, current life, relationships, like whatever that stream is that's blocking them, or kind of where it all knots up. We work to clear that. So I just do it in a way that I ask always before they get there, that whatever they need for their highest good, whatever is going to help them the most is what we go on. So every session is different with every person. And depending on their level of support that they need, we'll do it right then and there. Or if they're more of like a super independent person, we'll start the process and then they'll go complete it.
Yeah.
So it can be full, emotional, spiritual. I do, it's a combo of energy work, guided, meditation, activation kind of things.
Right
So
on.
different each time.
How do we get in touch with you?
I have, my website is harmoniousheartliving.com. I have, you can book sessions there. You can find me on Facebook, Danielle Marie, or, email me at Danielle Marie Phillips, or Danielle at Harmonious Heart Living.
Harmonious Heart?
Yes, living.com.
Heart Living. Here it is. Let me see if I can pull it up. Harmoniousheartliving.com. Yeah, that's you.
Yes.
So how does that work? Let's see. All right. Let's see here. Boom. So that's it here.
Yep.
Right?
That's
Okay.
it.
So harmonious heartliving.com. Oh,
Yes.
videos. Right on.
I haven't done any in a while, but
Nice.
I'll be.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Very cool. Yeah. So yeah. All right. And then what I'll do, since we got blocked on Facebook, is I'll download this and upload it to Facebook. I'll put the link on that as well. And you might want to put it on go to YouTube and put it on Soldier One Studios channel.
Thank
Or actually,
you.
I can do that for you. I can do that for you right here. harmoniousheartliving.com. Right on. All right. You take care.
You too.
Till the
Tell
next
Morgan
time.
hi.
And
Thank
good luck on your I know you don't need luck. But abundance
you.
is flowing.
Yes, sir.
I'm anxious to see what your new place looks like. So you take care. Thank you so
All right.
much. Peace
All
out.
right.
All right.
Thanks.